Hello boys and girls, and why not, also adults who are visiting this channel. Everyone is welcome. Here I will be sharing a space created for the little ones in the family where I will be leaving them stories created by me, and they will be narrated through my voice. The purpose is to have a fun and pleasant time in which they could listen to them during the day or, as was the custom in the past, before going to sleep. And well, without further ado, here we go with the story. I hope you like it. Chocolate. To begin with, I am not going to talk to you about food or anything sweet to name. This story with the name Chocolate, though yeah, it's pretty sweet. Chocolate is a dog that I met on a very rainy day. I walked to buy bread like every morning at a bakery that was around the corner from my house. There were always 3 little puppies and a cat that was always in a bad mood standing in the doorway. The 3 puppies were brothers. One was all black, another white with black spots, and the third was brown wherever you look at it. The kitten was of various colors and quite furry. One day when I was inside the bakery waiting for the bread I had bought, I asked one of the ladies who were always behind a counter in a red and white uniform and a funny little hat that looked a lot like a little paper boat that my grandfather had made for me, where or how had those animals gotten there? The lady told me that nobody knew, that they had simply appeared there at the door, and every day the poor things asked people to give them something to eat. She also told me that a lady who had worked there with a lot of insistence and patience, after several times, manages to catch the cat and was able to take it as a gift to her mother, who was an elderly lady who lived alone. The cat had allowed herself to be grabbed, but it had not been an easy task. Do you remember that I told you at the beginning that the cat was in a very bad mood? Yeah, she was pretty aggressive. So much so that the lady who took her left several scratches on her arms and one on her nose. The old woman, who knew her by the name of Mrs. Chella, was very happy when she saw the cat and thought that at last she would no longer be alone. Mrs. Chella named the cat Chula because although she was bad, the kitten was cute. Mrs. Chella, sitting in her rocking chair, began to knit a blanket for her new friend. She brought a large bag with lots of balls of yarn of different colors inside it and thought that maybe Chula, seeing the balls, would come over to play like all cats do. Chula looked at the old woman from afar, glued to the entrance door. "Come Chula, don't you want to play with these pretty balls?" I said to Mrs. Chella, but the cat didn't even say meow. When dinner time arrives, Mrs. Chella puts a bit of warm milk and a few pieces of chicken on her little plates, and the cat shyly approaches to eat. The old lady stretches out her hand to pet her, and the cat, zas, scratches her on the arm. Mrs. Chella, without insisting again, lets Chula eat her food. When dinner time is over, Mrs. Chella decides to go to her room to lie down on her bed to watch a bit of television until she feels sleepy and thus fall asleep. The old woman put an old blanket at the foot of the bed in case Chula decided to climb on it, but the grumpy cat was left alone in the dark in the living room. "Come on Chula, come up here to bed," the old woman told her, inviting her to come up. Once the novel that Mrs. Chella watched on Thursdays was over, the hours had passed, and without realizing it, the old woman had fallen asleep. In the silence of the night, only Chula could be heard in the living room, shouting loudly meow, 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 but her meows had no effect, until, standing on a small table in the room, Chula knocked a vase to the floor. Mrs. Chella wakes up from the blow. But what was that hit? Wondered the old woman, getting out of bed. Mrs. Chella turns on the light, and there on the little table she sees Chula and the vase in pieces on the floor. "Chula, what have you done? Are you crazy, kitty?" Mrs. Chella told her, lowering her carefully so as not to receive another scratch. Mrs. Chella puts Chula in the bathroom because she knew that the cat was not going to let her sleep that night, and so she returned to her bed. There in the bathroom, Chula meowed a little more, but this time Mrs. Chella did not get up. Chula scratches the bathroom door to open it, but nothing happened either. Mrs. Chella continued to sleep. Chula, already tired of meowing, manages to see that something illuminated the bathroom. It was the moonlight that entered through a small window. Chula, running, takes a good jump and manages to escape. A new day dawns. Chella gets up and opens the bathroom door to see that Chula isn't there. It is gone. Mrs. Chella goes outside and calls her a couple of times, but nothing. Chula does not appear. "Well, he'll show up and he'll come for his food," Donna Chella said to herself and began to prepare her breakfast. That morning, when it was time to open the bakery, the ladies who worked there began to arrive and were amazed to see that the 3 puppies and Chula, the cat who had returned, were once again waiting for their food. Days passed and Mrs. Chella already knew that Chula had returned to the bakery, and since she was mean and did not want to stay with the old woman, no one tried to take her anywhere else. The bakery was the place Chula had chosen to be. Now I will tell you about Chocolate. As I told you at the beginning, I found Chocolate on a very rainy day. That day I went with my umbrella and my boots, and the puppies were there at the door of the bakery, wet up to the tail and very cold. Every day, only one of them came jumping towards me to pet him, and that was the brown one, that is, Chocolate. I named it Chocolate because of its color and because it is so sweet. But that day Chocolate didn't come out to me. He stayed under a roof in a bowl. I went over to see him and he was very wet and shivering from the cold. I offered her a piece of bread, but she didn't want it, and the crazy cat devoured it in one bite. On my head I wore a wool hat that I took off and put the puppy inside to keep him warm, and I took him home. My mom didn't ask anything. He just helped me dry the puppy and take care of him because he looked a bit sick. "How cute it is," my mom said, stroking his head. "I have put Chocolate," I told him with a sad face because of how the puppy was. I also told my mom that Chocolate had 2 brothers who were also in the bakery with him, and my mom very quickly told me, "No, no, no, no. No way. You can only keep one if that's what you want," and I was very happy to tell him that I would keep Chocolate if he could make it better. My mom came up with the idea of taking a box that we had in the garage to put Chocolate's brothers and take them to the vet who was a block away. Maybe someone could adopt them, and so I did. Chocolate's brothers stayed there with the vet. The days had improved. It was no longer raining and Chocolate was beginning to feel and look better. He and I were the best of friends. He was the sweetest puppy, but my mom said he was quite active since he was running around and biting things all the time. He managed to calm down at night when he licked my feet while doing my homework. The day was coming when they were to give him his shots. We took him to the vet and we could see that his brothers were no longer there. They had both been puppies adopted by Donatella. Yes, the old woman who had had Chula and Chella, and the puppies were happy. Chocolate every day grew and got prettier. He loved bathing and playing ball. Every morning when I went to school, Chocolate was restless and a little sad to see how the school bus was slowly moving away. Luckily, Mom, with her caresses, managed to calm him down, and Chocolate thanked him, filling his face with many slobbery kisses. That afternoon, the postman stopped to leave several letters in the mailbox, and Chocolate caused a shower of envelopes when he managed to scare the postman with a jump. Mom manages to get him into the house, and Chocolate stays on the couch looking out the window. A few hours before arriving home from school, Chocolate was getting restless again, and I knew that it would be a little while before I would return. With my mom, we always wondered how she managed to find out. He was a very smart little dog. That afternoon, Chocolate sees a bus just like the one I was taking. In the neighborhood there were several of those buses, but not all of them went to the school where I attended. Mom had forgotten to lock the door, and when Chocolate saw the bus, thinking I was coming back, she ran out. He must have run a lot after the bus he thought I was in, because when I came back from school he wasn't home. With my mom, we looked for him almost all over the neighborhood, but night came and Chocolate didn't show up. Several weeks passed and I got sick because I was sad. I got so sick that there were several days that I had to miss school and had to stay in bed. One morning when it was raining, and quite a lot because it hadn't rained for several days, my mother went to the bakery in search of bread to prepare my breakfast that I would have along with my medicine. Oh, my mom's surprise when she sees that there at the door she sees a cat and a big brown dog. Mom calls him, "Chocolate, come here," and saying these words quickly, the dog runs happily into my mom's arms. Mom comes back from the bakery with the bread and of course with Chocolate. Bring my breakfast, and yelling, "Surprise!" Chocolate jumps and all wet jumps on my bed. "Chocolate, Chocolate, you came back," I said, crazy with joy. My mom tells me, I found him at the door of the bakery next to a cat that was also there, my mom said. Chocolate was so happy to see me that he wouldn't stop licking my face, and from that day on I knew that apart from being a best friend, Chocolate had also been my medicine, because seeing him with the passing of days made me better, and the rain also reminded me of the day that I found it. So I told my mom that every time Chocolate goes missing we'll know where to find it, right there at the door of the bakery with Chula, the grumpy cat. I told my mom, what a pity that the only one homeless is Chula. And my mom replied, she already chose her place. For the kitten, the bakery is her home because she feels safe there. My mom replied as Chocolate thanked her with a woof, woof, and lots of slobbery kisses. End. Well, friends, did you like the story? If so, I hope you will give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments about the story and give suggestions to write more new stories. With this, it will be until a new video, a new story, and well, thank you all for listening to me. I hope you liked it. Bye.